I am working on a Gorgar MPU and driver board, and this is the driver board. And the special solenoids 1, 2, and 3 are not operating correctly. 1 and 2 are not lighting at all, and solenoid 3 is locked on. So I've used a logic probe, and I already know that this chip this is U6. Thanks, Williams, for adding chip numbers or chip part numbers in the silkscreen. I've used a logic probe on the bench, and I know that this chip is bad, but I want to show you how to diode test a 74XX chip like this. So I've got my meter set to diode check. That's the arrow that's pointing at a vertical line. I've got the red probe, and I'm going to put it on the lower left pin of the integrated circuit. It's always the lower left pin, no matter how many pins the circuit has. It's 14, 16, 18, 20, doesn't matter, lower left. For the 74XX series of logic. And now I'm going to probe the rest of the pins. That's pin 14. That is what I call the characteristic voltage drop for the whole board, because this is between 5 volts and ground. Now pin 13, and that's good. We're looking for a value between 0.4 and 0.7 approximately. Uh-oh. Pin 12 has no reading, so that is definitely bad. I'll just keep going down. And pin, what is that, 9 does not have a reading either. So that chip is definitely bad. So we're going to pull that one out. And pin 2 is reading bad. And so, no, pin 1's okay. Pin 2 is reading bad. Let's pull it out and test it. New socket installed, and I'll install one of my NOS chips in that socket. But here's the 7408 that I took out of that socket. Let's see if you can see that. Oh, it says 8, and that's its startup, and then ERR. Oops, here we go. So this thing cannot prove a chip good, but it can prove a chip bad. So once it says error, you can be nearly 100% sure that chip is bad. And I'm back on the bench with that Gorgar driver board, and it is connected to the MPU. My spiffy new bench with all those red satellite boards are designed by our friend Victor, aka Dumbass on Pinside. And I've shown this display board, this panel, in the past, and so there's nothing new there. But this is my solenoid test board now. And when I was working with Victor on developing this, I asked him to lay it out so that the LEDs on the board match the layout of the drive transistors on the driver board. And so we've done that, and we have switches so we can enable the special solenoids to fire also. You've seen my lamp test board before. This is a System 11 board that I've repurposed for System 3 through 7. I can do the switch matrix testing, and that's primarily what that's for. This is for a System 7 board where the sound outputs are come out of a header on this side of the board, and I can show that each of the 7 sound outputs is working correctly. So let me boot it up. I've already booted it once, so it's not going to boot into audits. It is switching between the default high score to date and 0. The lamp matrix is operating correctly, and that's about, on the solenoid test board, solenoid 16 is turned on. That is the coin lockout solenoid. That will remain illuminated until I go through testing each of the 16 solenoids, and it will be extinguished, and then it'll come back around and it'll flash. Interestingly, if you put the game on free play like I am going to, then the coin lockout solenoid is never driven. Well, unless you're in test. So let me put it into test, and let me show you what the LEDs do when you put a game like this into test. 2 blinks and everything is dark. The next press starts display test, and I have flicked the auto manual switch to the auto position. So it's going through each of the numbers. Very nice. The next test is lamp matrix. And all of those are working properly. The next test is solenoids. And those two bright ones that just came on, that is the flipper power enable, they call it. It's actually a path to ground for the flippers. Now here's the coin lockout solenoid and the special solenoids, which were not working before, but you can see that they are now. Now, as I'm waiting for that to come around to the coin lockout solenoid, I'll show you these special solenoids all operating from their switch inputs. Here's the coin lockout solenoid. I may change this to a different color. This is confusing me a little bit. And then here's the other special solenoid inputs. So those are all working properly, and the next test is switch matrix. And so I'm just going to go across the diagonal of the switch matrix. And the last switch on Gorgar is switch 45, if I can get my fingers cocked in the right direction. Let me see, let me start that over. 19, 28, 37, and 9 would be 46, but here is 44, and I'm wrong. Gorgar, the last switch is 44. Gorgar, 44. So here's switch 44. I'm having some trouble getting my fingers to operate like that. There's switch, sorry, there's switch 44. So the next, if you press the button again, you're going to enter the audits and adjustments. And I'm going to scroll to adjustment 18, which is the maximum credits. And I'm going to use the credit button to increase this to 0, 0. Which sets the game on free play. And I'll scroll back through. You have to reboot the game on these. And you can see the coin lockout relay. Solenoid 16 is no longer illuminated because we've got it on free play. So this Gorgar pair is good to go. I did have some alkaline corrosion to clean up in this area. I got to get that outside and conformal coat that. But other than that, it's good to go. Thanks for sending it.